Bad Films. This is a podcast. We watch bad films. Ta-da! I'm Gary, and with me is Jay. Hello, Jay.
Hello.
How are we doing?
I am very well, thank you. How are you?
All right. We really should prepare this bit because it makes it sound a bit more slick. Very good. So, in the name of the podcast is We Watch Bad Films. Have you got a bad film for us to watch?
Yes, Gary. Absolutely. Yeah, I've got a huge list, as you may be aware. Now, we've watched some bad films in the past, and we've got some coming up, which I've earmarked for us. But there is a film, well, in fact, there's a whole genre by a certain director that we've not even looked at, let alone watched.
Spielberg?
And you wish. Although, having said that, there are some Indiana Jones films which we should discuss. No, it's not Spielberg. One of the films that we should watch, I've earmarked for us to watch, is a film, Gary, which you may or may not have heard of. This film is called Fateful Findings.
Fateful Findings. Haven't we already watched this? An Irish film, martial arts?
Yeah, you mean Fateful Deviation, don't you?
Oh, yes. Fateful Deviation. Yes.
Yeah, it's a nice generic title. It's the kind of title that Jean-Claude Van Damme or any of those guys from the 90s would have had a film called something like this. And there must be just a Rolodex of these kinds of verbs knocking around. Nouny verb, verby noun. It's so generic that you probably and I probably and many people would struggle to remember the name of this film. However, you won't forget it once you've watched it, Gary. So just let you know.
Well, all right. Well, I don't know it. So, anything else I should know about this film? So, hang on. You said there's a director. Who's this director?
I'm not going to tell you, Gary. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. We're all going to find out.
Okay. Well, over in post editing, Gary, he's going to go and find a trailer and chop it in here, and meanwhile, real Gary will have lived through it. So let's go watch that. And if you want to, you go watch that, and I'm sure you'll get much more out of it. So, bye, and see you in a minute.
I was given paranormal powers as a child.
I've hacked into just about all the information I need. They have no idea. No more books!
You were given a power.
Others want to take this from
me. He's writing about government secrets.
I knew I loved you when I was 8 years old. All this time, I haven't been working on my next book. I've hacked into the most secret government and corporate secrets.
I'm using it to make a real difference. And I'm going to expose them all.
Should I be afraid? Should we be afraid? I'm not ready for this! I want to be honest with all of you. I've been hacking into government and corporate systems all over the country.
You're going to get yourself killed.
But you should be scared, because it is the truth. Act now. On your own, outside of the corporate systems and these incompetent politicians. You want to get out of here, but you can't see what's about to happen.
Ye gods, that was Fateful Findings. And Fateful Findings, particularly by the hand grenade that Jay left me, called Neil Breen.
The Breeninator.
The Breeninator 5000. More on that in just a second. Hopefully you've just enjoyed the trailer, which will give you a taste of what I believe is quite typical of the Breen canon.
I mean,
And
we're assuming that Breen has made a trailer for this film.
that's a good point. I'm sure someone will have made one because he's
Yes.
so culty. He's so culty. I don't want to get distracted because I really need to talk about the plot.
Good luck. You need to talk about the plot.
Thanks for that.
We're gonna have no. This is not gonna happen. You're gonna have a conference. Everyone's gonna have to write in with their own version of this plot because I don't think there is one. There is one version. Go for it, Gary.
Okay. Our main man, who I think is called Dylan in the film, and his friend Leah, as children, discover a stone in the woods. But then she goes away. Our now grown-up protagonist is hit by a car. It's then clear that the paramedic that looks after him is his old friend as a child because they've got the same tattoo. He's working on a book to do with government corporate secrets. He has a wife who takes a lot of drugs and takes an overdose. He is perved over a bit by his friend's underage daughter. Then his friend is shot, and then but it's framed as a suicide. More on that later. Dylan then goes to the psychiatrist, two psychiatrists. Definitely more on those later. Which allows him to go and find the stone, find the kidnapper of his childhood friend, who he's now just totally happy to be with, and then publishes the book that he was writing, and all these government people from bank and others commit suicide, and everyone's really happy that these corporate people have killed themselves. Do you know what? That might be the best recap for a film I've ever done. And I know people are listening to this saying, hang on, you just said a load of things that don't link together. Yeah, I totally did. But I think it's pretty accurate.
Oh my God. Do you know how hard I was trying not to laugh during your synopsis there?
Well, you didn't manage not to laugh during the film because, yeah, there was plenty of that.
Every time you mentioned something, I was remembering it on screen. Oh my word, this film.
Okay, so let's go back to the dude himself, Neil Breen. Jay, can you set the Breen scene for those who aren't down with the Breen?
Well, yes, I can as much as I know, but I've not actually. I don't know if you have, but I've not actually looked into much of his history. I probably should do because I mean, who the hell is he? What a weirdo! But he is one of these classics who can't act, can't direct, can't write, can't do anything involved in what you would need to do in order to make a film, and yet still desperately wants to make a film. So much so that he'll write, direct, and star in and plow in loads of his own money into not just making one film. He's made a slew, coming up to double figures now for about 10, 15 years. A bit like Tommy Wiseau with The Room, a bit like any of those writer, actor, directors who are just staring down the barrel of no talent, but just bludgeoning their way through the film industry. He's not just that. Also, what makes him hilarious is that all of his films are so badly done, but so po-faced and so confusing.
Yeah, there's no hint of humor about this.
Absolutely,
whether it's changed over time or it hasn't, he definitely believes in what he's making and the product that he's come out with.
Yeah, and he's quite active on the internet, defending legally his films. So, for example, if you look for like an illegal copy online, you'll be hard pressed to find one. They are on streaming services. He's quite well known for being very prickly. He's quite known for being bit of a prima donna, quite frankly. And he's also a massive conspiracy theorist.
That surprises me.
Yeah. He's just a weirdo, and and his films are trash, but they are some of the best trash. If you're looking for trash, yeah, he's a legend basically. But yeah, he's a singular force in the cinematic universe. What do you know about him, Gary?
Well, do you know what? The only thing I know about him is from his few appearances, not his appearances, but the appearances of his films on Red Letter Media's channel. As we always say, a huge inspiration for us doing this stupid little podcast. He's again, I think you said it right. He's po-faced. He means exactly what he says. I believe he does everything himself, and I know we get a lot of. Oh, that reminds me. Yeah, he does a lot of himself. And there's a bit in the credits, isn't there, of this film?
Yes.
I just remembered that. What does it say again? Something like anything that said the word Neil or Breen in the credits meant.
No, it was
Neil Breen did it.
anything with the letter N or B in it.
What?
Was actually so the credits roll and it says written by Neil Breen, starring Neil Breen, directing Neil Breen, and then obviously all the cast, and then with the crew and stuff, it's like, I don't know, negatives developed by the NB Corporation and things like that, and this N and this B keeps popping up in all of the credits. And we're like, what are these N and Bs? And then right at the end, there's a big paragraph in white that says anything with the letter N or the letter B in was done, made, manufactured by Neil Breen himself. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and it shows as well. I mean, the effects are magnifique, you know, and it's something I could knock together myself using Clipchamp, which you find on Windows PCs. Clearly bought in effects as well. You can buy explosions and gunfire and things like that and just overlay them. Hey, this is okay. I'm okay with the guy doing that. You know, he's the definition of a one-man band. But what doesn't help is, and guys, if you're listening to this and you haven't heard of Neil Breen, just pause it for a moment. I'll allow it. Go and Google the name Neil Breen, Breen. See what he looks like. And and when you see him, you go, oh, now I get it. Now I get it. Because he's a funny guy. He has no acting talent to speak of.
He's got the cold, dead eyes of a killer.
Like a doll's eyes.
He's like the least sort of charismatic, emotional presence on a screen you could possibly think of. He sort of looks like he's in a coma.
He delivers his lines like he's in a coma as well.
And a lot of his audience watches whilst being in a coma.
Or he puts them into comas while watching. Yeah. I mean, take, for example, this line here, where he talks about the previous friend who was shot by his wife.
Yes.
Do you want to have a go at it, Jay? Do you want to have
Yeah.
a go?
I can't believe you have committed suicide. I cannot believe you have committed suicide. I cannot believe you have committed suicide. You're on your own with, yeah.
I can't believe you committed suicide. I cannot believe you committed suicide. How could you have done this? How could you have committed suicide?
Why did you have to commit suicide? Yeah.
There's more passion when I'm answering the door to my postman, you know. There's more emotional resonance. And he repeats it 3 times. I don't know why. Let's think about what he says. It like multiple. It's like he's trying to squeeze as much emotion out of this line as he possibly can, and yet with each reading it gets less and less emotional.
Do you think he was just doing multiple takes and he just left them all in?
Oh my god, it's almost like he's in a Star Wars film, a prequel film, and it's slower and less intense. It's almost like George Lucas is starring in it. Uh, it's amazing, and he's not the only one. The rest of the cast are as dead-eyed and guppy-faced as he is.
Yes. I think we had a suspicion that some of the. I mean, if you agreed to be in this film, what year was it from?
2013, 14, depending on where you look. But he
Right.
could have been doing it for about 5 years. Who knows?
Probably, yeah. So, do you think like these actresses were like, yeah, sure, I'll do it, and were paid, and then went on to huge careers, or what?
I think the first part of that may be true. The second part is definitely not true. He's obviously paying for it. I get the impression that he is actually funding the whole thing himself. So and in that sense, he's sort of being professional. But that is the only sense in which he's being professional. Someone's getting paid and he's paying them. But my gosh, nothing else looks like it's been paid for. I don't know. I just would love to have been a fly on the wall in some of these meetings that he's having with these actors, because the actors are shit. But he's paying them. He must have found them as actors, right? He must have gone to a casting agency, or maybe he didn't. Maybe he literally just walked past people in the street and said, "Do you want to be in my shit film?"
Maybe it's just people he knows.
Well, it certainly comes across like that. However, he is about in this film, I don't know, in his 60s, and everyone else in this film is about 25. So I don't know.
That's one of the best things is that he, as I mentioned, he meets up again with his childhood friend, and she's like 30 years younger than him.
Just like, how do you make that decision? How does no one say? Well, this is the problem though, isn't it? It's like if you're the writer, director, the star, funding it all, no one is going to question Neil. Someone is going to say, but Neil, if we were the same age when we were younger, but now you're 30 plus years older than me when we're older, how does that make sense? He'll just look at you with his cold, dead, beady eyes and say, "You're fired, get out." So, yeah, that's probably how it's happened. You can't question him. He's created his own multiverse.
I suppose he has. I wonder if there's crossovers in his many other films that we've yet to watch. So I was having a quick flick, and he's made 6 films and 1 documentary going back through the previous 5 films. So that's interesting, isn't it?
Well, he's made more films than I have.
Well, this is true. This is true. How many films have you badly acted in? I don't. Where do you start attacking this thing from?
I don't know. It's sort of
discussing?
impervious. It's impervious. It's so fantastically, richly crap. Every single aspect that you look at it's awful and yet hilarious. So I don't know. I don't know where to start really.
I think people should actually seek this out and watch it, because I don't think they understand. I don't think they understand what we just did.
Were there any scenes that stood out to you, Gary, as being prime ribs?
Sorry, just yawning. I mean, each scene appears disconnected from the others, and you combine. Okay. Here's one near the beginning when we first see Breenlanator. He's talking on his phone to his wife, although he's not actually saying anything. We don't know why he's not doing that.
Oh yes.
He walks up to the curb to cross the road. The shot then changes to his feet on the floor. There's a whole bunch of other feet around him. Then we cut back to the wide. There's no feet. He's by himself.
There's no one there. He's on his own.
He shuffles over the road. Someone hits him really hard with a car. Terrible bit of CG, of course. Yeah, and then he falls to the floor, and people gradually turn up to heal him.
So this is in the first 5 minutes. I remember us watching it. I mean, saying, so is that Neil? Was that meant to be like the boy at the beginning? And we were like, I don't know. And then we're like, is he talking to the woman on the phone? We don't know. Is he? Oh, has he just been run over? Don't know. Who are all these people next to him? Don't know.
Yeah, there are
Don't
some
know. Don't know.
absolute fundamentals of storytelling you're
Yeah,
just
don't know.
ignoring. Like, if one person is on the phone talking and you cut to another person on the phone, you need to have the other person respond in some way so you know that
Yes.
they're talking together, and we're not just cutting between two conversations.
Oh my God. And so do you think in that scene where he's crossing the road, there is literally no one else? He's put the camera on the other side of the road and he's run back over and he's walking slowly towards the Do you think that's how it's happening? Do you think there is any
Keep it
actually
frugal.
camera crew?
Keep things very frugal.
Oh my God. There's so many scenes and so many scenes to like talk about. But
Well,
because
okay. Well,
they
how
don't.
about, I mentioned it in the intro, how about the two different psychologists? And it's not clear to me why there are two psychologists, by the
Oh,
way.
Gary, there are so many things in this film that are not clear to me. And even after we've watched it, even after I've looked up some stuff about it, I still don't understand. I don't understand this subplot of the psychologist. He he sort of I can't even remember what happens to start the whole story, apart from the prologue when he's a little boy with the girl and he finds a mushroom that turns into a box that turns into a rock. I don't know. It's a little jewelly rocky thing, and we were like, "What is that?" And then as we're watching the film, every now and again, this sort of rock appears in his hand or in his where he is, and we're sort of like, is it giving him powers? We're not sure. Anyway, at some point in the first third, he sort of has a revelation, I'm going to say, and he stops taking his pills. Where are my pills? Where are my pills? Where are my pills? He starts calling out for his pills, and then his wife chucks
No
them to him.
more books.
Yeah. She chucks him his pills, and then he decides, I'm not taking these pills anymore. And then he goes over to the toilet and slowly tips them all in as his wife, blank face, says, No, don't do that. So that is the point where the story sort of kicks in. That's what I'm saying here, Gary, right? And from that point on, he's got this power. He can he sort of understands conspiracy theories. He starts hacking into the government. Anyway, during that point, he also starts seeing psychiatrists. He goes to this big boardroom with a huge table in it. On one end is Neil Breen, and about 5 miles down the other end of the table is his psychiatrist. Is that right?
Yeah, who's a really old guy and clearly did all his takes in one day, because they just cut back to it every now and then and he's just waffling at the guy. He's got two shots of him, one straight at the camera, one side on, and he just carries on like that.
Yeah, and it's of very little consequence to the plot what is said in in these particular scenes. And then he sort of says, something along the lines of, yeah, I'm not listening to you anymore. And he gets up and he just hard cuts. He's leaving this psychiatrist. And then for some reason, he goes to another psychiatrist who's a woman who looks like a prune in a wig. And she's not in an office. She's literally she's next to a wall with a little fold out chair. And he goes to see her as well. So what was she? What was she? I don't understand what that was.
I don't know. And he and she and they're just sitting in the corner of a room on folding chairs, as opposed to this boardroom scene. They're just facing each other. Doesn't she fade out at some point?
Oh yeah, that's right. She disappears. I mean, she literally disappears from the scene, leaving the chair there. Don't really know why. Don't know why. Okay, what about the barbecue scene, Gary? You remember the barbecue scene, right?
Yes.
When they're outside in the pool area, and it hard cuts to the pool, and there's like a soundtrack of like a huge crowd of people having a great time, and then it pans to about three people in silence.
Not about three people.
And I think they're meant to be having a barbecue. I'm not sure why. And one of the couples there are friends of the family. They have this weird subplot, which maybe you can sort of elaborate on. But they have a daughter. The daughter difficult to tell how old she is. She could be anything from about 15 to 25, but let's say she's about 20. And she comes back later and oh God, I don't even know why, but she comes back to Neil Breen's house. She has a dip in his pool for no apparent reason. And then she comes back into his bathroom, gets in his bath, and starts having a bath. And then she takes her clothes off. Gary, is that right?
Yep. She does that.
Neil Breen comes in, and we were like, oh God, here we go. Nubile young girl. Bearing in mind, this is Neil Breen's film in all senses. So he's hired all these people, and we thought it was going to go down the road of, here we go. This is why he's hired her. But actually, he puts the brakes on, doesn't he? He says, no, you cannot fall in love with me. This is not appropriate. So, good on you, Neil. Although
Yeah,
you still did cast her.
I don't really know what it does for the film.
It
or
does
movie
nothing. It does nothing. But yeah, okay. So what about this couple, the friends of the family, Gary? They have a subplot.
I suppose they do, don't they? Yeah, the husband spends ages working on his car.
Oh yeah,
So-
the car. Neil Breen obviously owns some sort of fancy Ferrari type car.
Yes, I didn't even think of that. Yes, of course it must be Neil's, mustn't it?
Of course it is, Gary. Everything is Neil's.
And then therefore they can use it. And
Yeah.
all frustrated that he's spending so long working on the car, she just walks out to the garage and shoots him one day.
Yeah, she does. They sort of have about every 15 minutes it cuts to these two who are just friends of the family, but nothing really happens between the two parties. But it just cuts to them every 15 minutes having an argument. And then about half an hour into the film, he's working on his car and she comes in and says, "You're really annoying and you don't love her," and then she shoots him.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and that is actually the scene where Neil turns up and says he's amazing. I cannot believe you have committed suicide. I cannot believe you have that.
Yes. An all-timer for sure. Yeah, and they they get tossed aside as well, don't they? They don't really appear after a while.
No, that's it. That's the end of that plotline. There's nothing to do with the actual film.
Yeah, exactly. I want to jump straight to the ending, where Neil starts doing a speech in front of a backdrop, which he's probably Googled, right?
Yeah. Every time you mention a new scene, I'm laughing.
I believe it's the National Archives building, but it's just like he's Googled National Archives building, or maybe he went there and took his own photo and then just stood in front and green screened himself in front of it.
Yeah, that's quite frugal. That's probably what he would have done.
He then creates some sort of speech, has a speech where he's talking about all the terrible things that the bank has done and that the government has done and the insurance have done and probably others that I've forgotten. And one by one, they react by committing suicide. So one guy hangs himself, another guy, does the whole shutting the windows in the car thing.
Yeah, each character gets their own specific death.
By the way, we haven't met these characters before. They're just supposed to be a symbol of these things, of the bank. And by the way, when I say that, that's the words he uses. I'm from the bank.
Yeah.
I'm releasing these files to the public today.
Money, payoffs, and greed were always the priority of my company. Like many companies. I'm afraid of going to prison. They now know my crimes.
And then they sort of commit suicide, and each time they commit suicide, I can't believe I keep saying this word, and it's just like jolly. The audience applauds, and Neil looks around grinning. Hooray! And a sniper tries to kill him as well.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Mm.
What happens there? Nothing happens with that, does it?
No.
It's just, there's no point to it. A sniper comes out of a shrub with like a green screen background behind him. And
Of course.
what? But Neil Breen doesn't even interact with him, does he? What happens to the sniper? I've completely forgotten. The sniper just dies, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Neil Breen doesn't even notice that the sniper was there. Who kills the sniper? Don't know.
Who
Don't know.
watches The Watchmen?
Don't know who kills the sniper. Can
What
you
a-
see where we're going with this, guys? Can you see what's happening here? It is just a random collection of scenes, ideas. It's almost like he's got a whiteboard with like different ideas, themes, and scenes. And he has just put a blindfold on and gone eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and put them in whatever order comes out. There is characters come and go, have nothing to do with the main thrust of the film. People appear and then disappear. People don't have names. People just appear, something happens, and then that's it. A sniper arrives and then immediately dies. You know, it's just completely nonsensical.
So to get into the meat of it, Jay, so I would regard you as a creative sort. You've got various creative endeavors. And I think one of the important things you need as a creative is a space where you can work.
I know where you're going with this one.
So how would you describe Breen's workspace? Oh, sorry, Dylan's workspace.
Cluttered, laptop heavy.
It's laptop-tastic. Man's got shares in Compaq. Yeah.
It's basically like a little corner. It's a little corner unit that he sits on, and we only ever see that. The camera never pans anywhere else. We see this little corner desk unit, and it is cluttered with like files, books, many books, and about 17,000 cheap, not on laptops.
That he will eventually spill a cup of coffee over. It takes a little while.
One of the best scenes in the film, and in fact, you know, we can't show it to you visually because of the medium of a podcast, but watching Neil Breen pretending to sort of like, I don't know what he's doing, faint over his laptop whilst holding a cup of coffee and juddering his hand so the coffee is almost spilling, then it almost does, and you can almost see there's a split second where he's like, am I going to do this? No. Yes. And then he pours the coffee and he lays his face in it as if he's just collapsed. It is hilarious. And the amount of laptops, he's obviously got a job lot of dead laptops, right, from somewhere, and the amount of laptops he has, the amount of laptops he trashes, the amount of books he's got, like a pile of like, yet again, he's got a job lot of books from somewhere, and they're all one book. They look exactly the same. It's like a black book with a red spine, if I remember. And he has these books everywhere, and he picks them up and he throws them in different scenes. He throws them at the laptops. He throws them at people. He throws them across the table. Laptops and books is what I remember from that scene. Apart from, there's one scene where he has a plate of salad. Do you remember this scene? Gary, do you remember this scene? I don't remember what was going on, but he has a plate of salad.
I think it's just like spinach leaves or something, and raw spinach leaves, and he just kind of stabs at them, and then
he stabs at them and like raises his eyebrows and
just leaves it there.
This is later on, isn't it? Because by this point, his wife has died. But he's in the same room, and he's got a new wife, which was the girl at the beginning of the film. Keep up with this, guys. Aren't you following? And he's having a plate of spinach, dry, cold, uncooked spinach leaves. And I don't know, it keeps hard, close cutting to their eyes and like them grinning at each other, and they're raising their eyebrows. And he's like grinning at her whilst eating spinach leaves. And then he like playfully and carelessly puts this plate on some filing cabinets, some like bits of paper and cardboard. And then the plates like slowly flops over, and then it cuts to her grinning, like it's some sort of sexy playful. Don't know what it is, but it's hilarious.
Yes. I just, if it feels like we're just bouncing around from thing to thing, it's because that's what the film does.
We're just
I can't-
following.
Yeah.
We're just trying to do our best to follow the nonsensical plot.
At least the camera held long enough so we could see a clip of him and his butt when he was walking out.
Oh
of the,
my God, I forgot about the butt.
hospital. And all respect to the man, but he's in his late 50s at this point. We don't really need to. We don't need to see that.
There is a lot of green butt, isn't there?
Mm.
I would say too much green butt.
How could you? How could you?
And there's a lot of scenes of people, mainly women, lying naked, face down on beds.
Yes.
So you and the same bed, no matter who the characters are meant to be, it's always the same bed. We're assuming this is Breen's bed, aren't we? Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's many different scenes with many different characters, mainly topless women, lying face down on this particular bed. With him, sometimes he's wearing clothes, often he's not. Luckily, we only ever we don't go any more graphic than the Breen butt, because if there was any more of Breen, I don't think I'd be able to watch anymore. But he got close a few times. I just, what would it have been like when he was shooting and he's like, so the awkwardness of them about to film, because that there is no camera crew, right? He's setting up the camera, he's taken his clothes off, he's run over to the camera to press play, he's run back over to the bed, and he's like awkwardly leapt on the bed next to the woman with no clothes on, and they seamlessly glide into a scene. I just would love to have been there to watch it.
Yes.
What about the hospital, Gary, which is not his front room?
No, definitely not. Definitely not his, study or whatever. Oh God, I just don't know where to go next with this. I don't know where to look at. How about just after he gets out of the hospital and he goes in the shower with his sexy wife and he's got this bandage on his face like he's the Phantom of the Opera. Bloodstained, I might add.
Because, guys, he's just been run over, yeah? He's just been run over. And he had no facial damage, but as soon as he's in the hospital, he's got a huge bandage over one side of his face. But not only that, he's decided to then get into the shower completely naked, but with this bandage on his face still. And when we say on his face, we mean literally covering 75% of his head. So he looks like he's wearing a tea cozy or a bobble hat, which is also covering his face. It is the most awkward, stupid looking thing with a bit of strawberry jam.
It's not the most awkward, stupid looking thing. The most awkward, stupid looking thing is the repeated shots of mirrors bouncing on the wall, which is about an hour.
Yeah. There's a lot of that. Yeah, there's a lot of that. There's a few scenes of stupid, awkward things, which is right at the beginning where the children discover what is this magical amulet rock jewel pendant thing.
Yep.
Where, like I said earlier, they find they find a mushroom which slow fades into a box, like a little jewel box, which slow fades into like a little plastic necklace or bracelet.
I don't know why you're struggling to describe this, Jay.
Because he keeps changing what it is. It isn't anything. It isn't anything. Is what it is. It's nothing. It is MacGuffin City. It's what it is. In fact, the whole film could be called MacGuffin City because it is about nothing. It sort of ends up being about nothing because I can't work out what the point of it is. Can you remember any choice nugget quotes, Gary?
I mean, to be fair, we have covered an awful lot of them along the way. Um, no more books is, I
That's
think,
the good one, yeah.
is the one, right?
I've hacked into the most secret government secrets.
I resign today as president of the bank.
Apparently on IMDb, the tagline for this film is, in capitals, a Neil Breen film.
Well, that certainly, yeah, okay.
One of the reviews on IMDb says, Neil Breen is a director who doesn't care for filmmaking rules, mainly because he doesn't know any of them. And I would second that.
It's a magical day. It's a magical time.
Yeah, this film, yeah, I mean, it is an absolute classic. We are ripping it to shreds, but would you say it was entertaining, Gary? Were you not entertained?
I would say it's 100% entertaining. And if you said, "Shall we watch it again right now?" I'd say, "Okay, let's go and watch it again right now."
Yeah. I would second that. It's I mean, Neil Breen is a genre unto himself. Another quote on IMDb is, in most filmmaking, you do like show and not tell, but Neil Breen tells and tells and tells. He just has this way with words, acting, directing, themes that is just, on one hand, insane, and on the other hand, hilariously entertaining. And I sort of can't wait to watch another Neil Breen film. Although, having said that, I don't know, could be quite dangerous. Yeah, it is hilarious. It's hilarious, and I suggest people go out and watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask if you recommend it, but yeah, because it is good. It is.
It's good, not in the way that Neil Breen.
It's not good. It's enjoyable. It really is. It's so bad. I mean, we've got like a really, and we're not alone in this. You know, we've been doing this a while, and we've got terrible films that are terrible films that are boring. And as I've repeated many times, the worst thing a film can do is make you bored. You won't be bored watching this because you will be in disbelief at the next scene that comes along. And I think this enters the pantheon alongside Miami Connection, Samurai Cop, Troll 2 as like, these are ones you have to watch.
It's perfect. It's the perfect combo. What we're looking for is to be not boring or entertaining, and on the other hand, not become self-aware, because there's a lot of these bad film directors who slowly become self-aware. Tommy Wiseau with The Room 2, potentially the director of Troll 2, but Neil Breen just steadfastly will never become self-aware. He takes himself too seriously, and I love him because I love it because of it. It is a mine worth going down and mining, because there's so much to enjoy.
Yes, I have to agree. I mean, it doesn't have to. We haven't seen the others, but from the little I have seen of clips, I don't think it has to be Fateful Findings. Go and find any of them and watch them. And I dare say he's got a living out of it. Bless him.
Yes. I mean, people buy his films. He's become a well-known filmmaker. So, can't be all bad, can it, Neil? Can't be all bad.
Quite. I mean, yeah, it's staggering. As I say, I had heard of the Neil Breen, but it didn't quite prepare me for what the whole onslaught was, to just shuffle from scene to scene in that way. And then the audacity in that credits to say anything that starts with N or B was actually Neil Breen with a mask on is just baffling. Absolutely baffling.
Oh God, Breen.
Funny stuff. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm not sure we did. Did we? We did. If you did, feel free to reach out to us on many social media platforms of choice under We Watch Bad Films. We'd love to hear from you and what you thought of this Breen, or which Breen we should tackle next. That would be good. Come find us there. But in any case, thank you for now. Thanks for watching. Thanks for Jay.
Thank you.
I'm going to do that again. Thanks for watching, Jay, and thanks for suggesting that film.
Thank you.
Cheers and goodbye.
Bye-bye.